Hey everyone, my name is David Rao and I'm the music teacher who blogs at makemomentsmatter.org. You can also find my ideas on Facebook, on Instagram, on Patreon, on Pinterest, a variety of places when you search for my name, David Rao, or Make Moments Matter. Okay, so tonight I'm going to be talking about my upcoming concert based on the book The Day the Crayons Quit and how I used a resource from the land of Orff Schulwerk to create a special piece for one of my classes. I'm going to talk a little bit about how I did that and like go through the process of like what I did to actually make that song work for my students. That's in just a second. I'm going to be talking about this book you see a lot in Orff Schulwerk called the Rhythmische Übung, and how I use that, how I adapt it, and some ways that you might do that for yourself. That's in just a second. So if you hear about a book or resource, something like the RU that I was talking about, and you really like it, and you're like, where can I get that? I have a place on my blog, makemomentsmatter.org, under the video tab where you can find all the links and things I talk about. Or you can just click the caption at the bottom of wherever you're watching, listening to this, and you should be able to go straight there. If you're like, wow, this is really helpful or fun, or like, I want to learn more, where can I do that? Well, there are upcoming workshops. You can come and see me this Saturday with the Central Ohio Orff chapter. I'm doing a workshop about improvisation, the small steps you can take to make a really big impact. That's this Saturday, March 1st in Columbus, near Columbus, Ohio. The following week on March 8th, I'm going to be with the Utah Orff chapter talking about critical thinking in Orff Schulwerk, all the ways that you can enhance strategies you're probably already using, and add some more things, be more deliberate about that. That's March 8th in Salt Lake City. And then this summer, one of the cool, fun, exciting things I'm doing is I'm teaching a couple Orff levels. One of them is Orff Level 2. That's going to be in St. Louis. The dates of that are July 7th through July 18th. So if you've already done Orff Level 1 and you're like, oh, I want to take Level 2, here are reasons why you should come join us in St. Louis. First of all, Jess Denick and I, Jess is the movement teacher. She convinced me into doing karaoke last summer. And it was very fun. And I'm already planning songs that I'm going to sing this summer. So if you want to see me do karaoke, this is a great reason to come. Like, we're not the only ones doing karaoke. Like, you should do karaoke too. It'd be very fun. But that's a plan. I would love for us to go bowling as an Orff level. So I think that'd be fun. There are a lot of fun things. The St. Louis foods. Oh, the St. Louis foods. Like gooey butter cake or toasted ravioli or a whole host of things that are really not good for you, but are delicious. Come to St. Louis to enjoy them. And other attractions like the City Museum or the huge free zoo and the free art museum and like there's so many cool things in St. Louis. Anyway, come and join us. It's this summer. It's going to be so exciting. And the learning, obviously, we're going to be learning too. But there's so many other fun things to do. Come and join us for Level 2 this summer. Okay, that's all the stuff I got to talk about, the housekeeping stuff. But there are workshops coming up if you want to come and see me. But if not, look for other local workshops in your own area. Local Orff chapters are amazing and help you make connections. Not just like you learn things from presenters, but like you make really great connections with people. So it's absolutely worth it. Join your local Orff chapter and learn a lot. Okay. Ooh, speaking of Orff, I'm wearing my Orff shirt. See, sing, say, dance, play, create. I got this at the National AOSA convention this last November in Des Moines. They had these in the boutique, and so I got one. It's also really comfortable, but like it's like what we do in your Orff classroom. Sing, say, dance, play, and create. It's a catchphrase you often hear when you talk about Orff Schulwerk, but it's also just really easy for kids to kind of understand what we do. So love this shirt, but I got it at National Orff Convention. Come join the Orff family. There's so many fun things you can see and do. Okay, so I'm going to talk today about how I use this book. It's called the Rhythmische Übung. Some people just call it the RU because saying a whole German word is kind of tricky. How I used that when I was creating a special moment for one class in my upcoming concert. So I'm doing a concert this Thursday based on the book The Day the Crayons Quit. There have been a lot of people who've done this in the past. I've taken a lot of their ideas, changed them, adapted them, and made this work for me and my students. It's with my second graders. There wasn't a lot of like plan lead up time because I didn't want to like take time out of what I'm actually doing with them to like teach just concert music. So what I'm doing is I'm taking a bunch of songs and games that we've already done this year and I'm just re-theming them or changing them a little bit, and then I'm going to use them in the concert. So um, what basically, if you don't know the story, the day the crayons quit, it's these crayons who are angry at this kid because he keeps using them or abusing them or using them too much or not using them enough. They all have things to say. So they all write him a letter. Each color writes him a letter saying like, here's why you're not doing things correct, or you need to color inside the lines, or stop using me so much, or use me more often. Like they all have things to say. And so after each letter, which is going to be read by a different staff member at school, after each letter, the kids are going to sing a song or do a poem or something that relates to that color. So like for the first one, Red, we're singing Ida Red, which is a very famous folk song, but has a fun, it's just like a fun, easy, quick song. We're adding a little rock, paper, scissors game at the end just to make it silly and fun. For the blue crayon, we're singing, and because the blue crayon in its letter to the kid Duncan is like, you use me so much all the time. For rain, for rivers, for whatever, I'm getting used so much, I'm getting used up. And so like, you need to stop using me so much. And so, but he talks about, in the crayon talks about like rain and rivers and water. So we're singing a song, I don't care if the rain comes down, I'm gonna dance all day. And we're using body percussion to create the sound of rain. So each color gets their own like little song, little moment. And the cool thing about that is I can do a bunch of little songs. So like, when you're teaching, you're like, wow, this is a fun game song, but it's the same 20-second song that we repeat, right? Like kids get different turns. How could you use that in a concert? Well, they're little songs, so we're just singing them a couple times through so parents can see them or hear them, for some of the different things. But the other cool thing that this does, for like using this structure for the concert, is I have like 11 different crayons. They're actually 12. I'm taking out the one who's like, hey, you peeled off my label, I'm naked. I'm taking that out. I'm just we're not gonna read that crayon, because like I don't need to be explaining the naked crayon or whatever, so I'm not getting into that. But there are 11 colors that we're using. You don't have to use all the colors, but we're 11 that we're using. And the cool thing is that like then I can do a bunch of little songs, some group things like that. But then also I have 4 sections in second grade. So each one is going to get a color that's going to be a special song just for them. And so like for one of the colors, we're doing green, they're going to do alligator pie, and they're going to say the alligator pie poem. They're going to play it using body percussion. They're going to use mallets that have like green ribbons coming off them to play on tubanos. And so they're going to take that little poem, and it's going to be kind of like about a minute long thing that they do, but all themed around green, right? And in the green crayon's letter to Duncan, he talks about, I love you're using me for alligators and for dragons and for trees, whatever. Like he talks about that. So each class is going to get their own little feature, but there were still 11 colors. So I was like, how am I going to, it's a lot. So with one class, I decided to combine a couple colors. So yellow and orange in the story are arguing because they both think that they are the color of the sun. Yellow's like, you used me in the coloring book last Tuesday when I'm like, trip to the zoo coloring book, you used me to color in the sun. I'm obviously the color of the sun. And orange is like, no, he's not. I'm the color of the sun. You used me last Thursday when you're coloring the trip to the zoo coloring book, and I was the color of the sun. So like each one is arguing they're the color of the sun. So I was like, cool, I can take these 2 colors, put them together in one class, we can do a song about it. That was my plan, okay? So, I can't forget to talk about merch. I'm gonna come back to merch later. Don't let me forget, I'm gonna talk about merch. Okay, and by merch, I mean like the cool stuff I'm gonna wear and the costumes I'm gonna have kids wear. Okay, so I wanted them to go together, the yellow and the orange. So then I was like, how am I gonna do that? A lot of times when I need inspiration, I go to this book because it has a lot of little easy to pick up, easy to teach, easy to use pieces. In fact, it is like chock full with like example. And the reason you should go do your Orff levels is this is a really cool book. It's kind of hard to unpack if you don't know what you're reading. And so the more time you spend with this, the more time you explore it, the better you get at reading and using it. But there are some pieces in here that I use over and over and over and over again. Also, there's some that are just really easy to add words, to add a new section. So like the cool thing about this is like with the RU, you can take it and use and like put in a poem because like there are no words. It's just rhythms. It's meant to be all body percussion, but it's assumed that you could add words, right? So you could add words to make it a little bit easier to read. We could do the body percussion as listed or not. We could do add pitched or not pitched instruments. You could do variation on what's in here. You could make it like an A, B, A, create your own B section. You could have improvisation. You could have, could do things as a canon. Like there's so many opportunities once you have picked like a little piece to go off of. And for me, I find that like, I really like doing this, but I don't like coming up with the original piece. And so I like taking the piece that's already there for me and changing, adapting, doing whatever. And it makes it easier than me like, oh, I gotta like write a thing. Like starting here and then running with that makes life a little easier. So I went in and I looked through and I found a piece that I've used over and over. And one of the things that I do when I have a piece I really like is I write in some of the sample words. So for example, on this one, which is on page 6, it's example number 16. I have written in here, you saw Michael do this at SMU in 2021. You saw Dina do this at Baker University on, 2000 whatever. So like I have my own text. I've done this a couple different ways with different like books and stories. I've also seen other people do it and I wrote in their text here so that I have that. So anytime I come back to this piece, I go, oh yeah, I could do this with hand drums. I saw Dina do that when took Orff level 1, or I saw Michael do this with something else. And so it helps me remember like, where did I use this? When did I use this? But anyway, the piece itself is really easy. And okay, while we're sitting talking about this, so things you should know about the RU. It's originally all just body percussion. It starts with just pats. And then as you go through the book, it'll do it'll do pats and claps. It does just claps. It does pats, claps, and snaps. It does claps and stomps. Like it does all these things in succession. So you get like a series of different things for each option. But this first one is just patting. And when you have pats on the same line with stems up or stems down, that shows you which hand you should use. So like right is stem up, down is stem is right hand is stem up, left hand is stem down. So when it's notated like up, down, it means once you go left, right, left, right. If it's just all ups, that means like you get to choose, it doesn't matter. But when there's like a moment where like they have they've gone through and they want you to do a certain like not sticking pattern but like a rhythmic pattern with hands in succession, they put up and down stems to help you know, should I start with my right hand, should I start with my left hand? Like that's a cool thing about this, is that they've already gone and done some of that. It's kind of like bowing for strings to help you know like what is going to make this easiest. So because if you're like, why would they do that? That's why. It helps you like know like what is the easiest way, just like putting in bowing marks in a string score would do. Now, when you get to 2 lines, this is assuming that you are not just patting like this. This assumes that you might have one hand travel from one knee to the next. So exciting. Okay, so the pattern that I chose, which is on page 6, number 16, goes like this. That's the whole thing. That's the whole pattern. So if you saw, my hands were going back and forth, and it was going right, left. My right hand went over to my left knee. So like bump, 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 bump. In that time, my right hand traveled over and back. And it has these moments of rest in there, and you might go, why? Well, the other cool thing about this one is listed at the beginning of this piece. It says in German with a K, canon. And so if you see something listed as a canon, it means it can be done in canon, right? It can be done with 2 different groups doing the same thing at a different time. Okay, so when it wants you to start the canon, I'll have this little asterisk above the line, this little star. That means that's where the canon starts. So when it goes bump, 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 that's when you would have the second group start. I can't do a canon just myself. So, but anyway, now you know you can do it again. That's why it has some rests in there. So there's a little breathing room while the one group rests, the other one goes. There are times when they play over each other, and that's fun too. But that's why it's written. If you're like, why are there rests in there? That's why. If you hear it just by itself. So I knew I wanted to use this. I was like, this is an easy one. It'd be fun to teach. It'd be easy to teach. Okay, I need to add some words. I'm going to add the words. Okay, so remember that the theme was yellow is arguing, I'm the color of the sun. Orange is, I'm the color of the sun. So I started sitting and thinking about how can I fit the words in. And I was like, dun, 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 dun. Okay, yellow is the color of the sun. Yellow is the color of the sun. It's like, that is great. Could I use it for orange? It's like, orange is the color of the sun. Great. Okay, so I could use it for either one because I live in land where orange is 2 syllables. So if you're a 1 syllable orange person, I'm sorry. If you're like, orange is the color of the sun. No, I live in the land where it's 2 syllables. So orange is the color of the sun. So the way I ended up, if I did just the yellow, I ended up with this pattern. Yellow is the color of the sun. Yellow is the color of the sun. Yellow is the color of the sun. So go away. It's mine. That's what the yellow crayon says. And then orange says exactly the same words. The only thing is you're going to change yellow to orange. So I split up my class. Well, I taught it all as just one poem, just yellow. But when we got ready for the canon, I split the class in half. I said, you're the yellows, you're the oranges. And so then they would like argue back and forth. And so the yellow is the color of the orange is the color of the yellow. So in canon, it's fun because it sounds like they're arguing with one another just like they do in the book. So that's like the way that this kind of shook out with the words and everything. And it just kind of fits really well. I find with the exercises here in the RU, a lot of times I can fit words in. It works well. It makes sense. There are some times where the rhythm maybe won't work quite as well, and then you can adapt it or change it if that still works. But sometimes you have to be careful because adapting or changing something in here might mess up how the parts align. But these aren't all canons. In fact, most of them are not. But with this specific one, it works really well in canon, and it's fun now that they can argue back and forth with yellow or orange. Okay, so that's kind of how I made it fit. And then I was like, but can I like add in some color? So I got some ribbon ones, and when they do their phrase, yellow is the color of the sun, they gotta like make an arc with the ribbon with their color. And of course there are orange ribbon ones too. And then they do their thing and they play and fight with each other, and they get to use their little ribbon one just as like a way to show the color, who's who and whatever. So I added that in towards the end. So what's going to happen is like we'll read the yellow crayon page, half the class will do it as yellow. We'll read the orange page, and then half the class will do it as orange, and then we'll do it in canon. And someone on Instagram asked, I missed the beginning of the live. Can you share the name of the book? The Day the Crayons Quit. And so there are other colors that you'll see. And if you go back to the beginning of the video, I talk about some of the other colors and what I'm doing with them. So yellow and orange is really easy to then put it together. And then this doesn't take a ton of time, but it knocks out 2 color crayons in one song. But also the kids think it is hilarious. The one thing I'll say about this is because of the rests, they will rush the rests. And so, yes, it is supposed to be just rest. But because they're second grade and because they're rushing and because it's a concert, I knew that they're going to be excited about it. I had them like put in this snooty like little So what they came to me is, yellow is the color of the sun. Yellow is the color of the sun. Okay, so it's not an actual like legit rest because there's sound in there, but what I found is that like it still functions like a rest because they're like it's like a passive thing that they're doing. So you can still hear the other, when it's in canon, you can still hear the other part on top of it, even when they're like, so it keeps them aligned with the other group. It is not a true rest, right? But it still functions kind of like that. Like it gives us that beat of more passive time while the other group is going. And it works really well. So that's how I'm doing yellow and orange together. Not together, but together. And using the little ribbon wands too makes it kind of fun to show the colors. Okay, speaking of, I told you guys what I'm going to have them wear. So I first started teaching, the first school I taught in was in a lower socioeconomic area where I didn't feel comfortable asking parents to go buy anything for a concert. I still don't really. I don't want them to have to go buy anything. I don't have to be like, go buy this expensive costume or whatever. And so what I said for this concert was, you got to choose the color crayon you want to be, wear one solid color. It doesn't have to be like the exact same shade. If you like the blue of your shirt and the blue of your pants aren't exactly the same, whatever. Or if you want to wear black pants and a blue shirt, whatever. Just put like a solid color shirt. And so I said, if you have a solid color shirt you already love, great. If you have a t-shirt or a shirt that you really love that is the color you want but has like writing or pictures, just turn it inside out and we'll just see the color. So that's my, or if you want to go buy something, you can. I also have a bunch of kids at my school whose parents are like, I'm going to get the iron-on that says Crayola, and we're just going to buy them a $2 t-shirt at Michael's, and we're going to put, okay, cool, if you want. But if anything you already have, you can just turn it inside out, or wear a blank shirt or dress or whatever that doesn't have writing or pictures, and then that's going to be your color. And if you want, those little like party hats, those little cone party hats, makes them look like crayons. So I sent those home. I was like, you can get at the Dollar Tree, you can get the little cone, and then like you can have like an orange cone on your head and an orange shirt and orange pants, and you can use orange crayon. So kids know that they can be the different colored crayon. But I was like, what am I gonna wear? I don't want to be one of the colors. I don't want to be a multicolor. I don't want to be like a marker or something. What am I gonna do? And then I went on the Musically Minted website and I found the cool crayon stuff. Okay, so first of all, there's this amazing lanyard. I don't know if you can see it, but it has these little crayons with music notes. And I don't know if you can see what's on the crayons. So let me show you the t-shirt I got. And the crayons say do, re, mi, fa, so. And they have little music notes on them. Oh my gosh, I can't wait. It's going to be amazing. So then I can still have the crayon, but I won't be a crayon. And I won't have to wear the little pointy hat because I don't think that'd be a good look for me. But anyway, it's going to be so much fun. The kids are going to look great. The pieces are all going to like work really well. So far, we had a rehearsal on Friday. We had a rehearsal today, and it has gone pretty good. Our concerts on Thursday, we do, instead of a rehearsal on Thursday, we do an assembly for the school. We're presented to the school, and Thursday night's our performance. So very, very excited. It's going to be super fun, super colorful, and yeah, I'll see if I can do a whole Musical Mondays video about all the songs I use, what I did, the sort of the process for things. But I wanted to talk about just this one process so that if you have done Orff training, or even if you haven't, if you have this book, you have an idea of like how you could go in and you could like start working around with some of the pieces and use them. None of the pieces in here have words, but you are absolutely allowed to go in and add words that fit with the rhythms so that you can use these in different ways. You could do pieces with just the rhythms and body percussion. That's cool. Or you can take any of these pieces and transfer it to pitched or non-pitched instruments. That's cool too. But the words are really fun to add in and to make it a sort of come alive. Okay, that's enough for tonight. I'll try and add more about this concert if y'all are interested. I don't know if you're interested or not, but I'll try and add more about that if I can. And like I said at the beginning of the video, if you want more PD, if you want to like hang out in person, this Saturday I'm going to be at Central Ohio Orff Chapter, and next Saturday, the 8th, I'm going to be at the Utah Orff Chapter. So come and join us. It's going to be fun and do some more things in person with like really like real life actual, like we're going to try things together. It's going to be so exciting. So anyway, if not, I hope I'll see you next Monday for another Musical Mondays video. Thanks for coming along with me. I'll see you next time. Bye everyone.